Nigeria Info. My name is Sam Oracle Chinedu. You just listened to Man in the Mirror by the iconic, the legendary Michael Jackson. It was released in 1988 off his 7th solo album, Bad. That's crazy. And if you don't know Michael Jackson, well, you don't know music. Yes, I'm bullying you. But it's that bad. Because he represents an entire movement. The king of pop, undisputed, even dead. That's what it is. But hey, we're not talking about music here. We're talking about important things, like whether or not you're still keeping safe. Now, the National Agency for Food, Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has approved 2 more COVID-19 vaccines for use in Nigeria. They are the Moderna and Sputnik vaccines. NAFDAC Director General, Professor Moji Adeyeye, announced this on Thursday at a news conference in Abuja. She said both vaccines were approved for emergency use. The agency had earlier approved the Oxford AstraZeneca and Pfizer jabs, also for emergency use. Is this good news or bad news? What exactly does it mean? Did it go through the right approval process? Well, the guys who are the experts would be in position to answer the question, and we have one of such experts on the phone with us. It's Dr. Joseph Urang. He's the River State Immunization Officer. Joining me via phone this morning. Good morning, Dr. Urang.
Good morning, I greet you.
Yes, I greet you too. Thank you for joining us. How are you doing?
I'm good.
All right. So NAFDAC approves 2 more vaccines for Nigeria. There are so many questions attached to this. But when they say for emergency use, is it different from the initial emergency that gave us AstraZeneca, or is this a different kind of emergency?
Well, all the COVID vaccines currently are under emergency. They are under emergency, all of them.
Okay.
So, and when we don't have complete set of information on the particular vaccine, and that is being demonstrated to be safe in humans and can be used for purposes of outbreak response, we call them under emergency use listing, EUL. So all the vaccines are under emergency use listing.
Okay. So
yes.
Emergency has become our lifestyle, so we'll just convert that to regular use. So let's look at this. Let's look at these 2 vaccines, Moderna and Sputnik. We'll obviously talk about how it's different from the one we already got. But what's the approval process? What goes into that process to ensuring that a particular type of vaccine is good enough for a particular country?
Well, number one thing is to look at the safety profile of the vaccine and what the manufacturers have claimed. Then the regulating bodies will actually look at what the manufacturers have claimed and the safety of the vaccine in the public before the approvals will be given. Aside that, the cold chain requirements of this vaccine, especially like the Moderna, the Pfizer, they already have a high-level cold chain requirement. So based on that one, you obviously now see that you need to ensure that they are safe for you before you actually give approval for it.
Okay. And these vaccines have been administered in other countries. So
yes.
The fact that it's safe there and we needed approval here, is there something different about our climb, or it's just timing?
No. Well, the truth is, vaccines are leaving another country and coming to another country. Every country has a regulatory body. So every country has a regulatory body. So Nigeria has it also. So Nigeria needs to get approval for it first before it's being used in the country.
Okay.
So it's just like a normal thing. If you're going into the UK, you must have a UK approval. The FDA must approve for you to use in the US and all that. Even when the WHO has certified it use good for use and all that, these countries will still have their own regulatory bodies looking at it. That gives some kind of a double check on the vaccine and see how it is fixed for use by the people in those countries. I feel is just a traditional way of ensuring that the safety of the vaccine is good.
All right. So now, what is the potency of this vaccine? I know that we used to hear 90-something percent, 80-something.
The goal of every vaccination is basically first to reduce, if not to stop, mortality from a particular disease you're targeting. The second one, if the intent of you getting the disease, the severity of the disease is to be reduced. That's one of the goals of every campaign, every vaccine. Then the third goal sure that there is reduction in the infection rate of that particular disease you're trying to prevent. So for Moderna is comparable to the Pfizer, the group of Pfizer, because their cold chain requirement is high and their mRNA vaccines, they actually act at the molecular level by attaching themselves, of course, attaching themselves to the DNA and produce proteins that are similar or looking alike, like proteins and so on. They stimulate immune response via that process. So if you look at all of them, they have about 100% effect on mortality from COVID. They have close to 100% as well for the severity of the disease. So what differs now among the vaccines, different group of vaccines, is the infection prevention. Some say for Pfizer you get up to 90%, AstraZeneca gets to 52%, and all that at the first 6 months, the first shot. So by the time you take the second shot, the protection increases a little more than what you have the first shot and all that. So that's the big thing with all these vaccines.
All right, so let's look at these new vaccines. Are they single or double dose?
Well, the Sputnik is the same technology with the AstraZeneca vaccine. Well, I like calling it the Oxford vaccine because it's Oxford that actually had the right. So they only gave it to AstraZeneca to produce.
Okay.
So Sputnik itself is similar. The J&J is similar. Just that J&J is being modernized to be one dose, while Sputnik and AstraZeneca is 2 doses. So they are just similar. They are what we call recombinant vaccines. While the Moderna and Pfizer are mRNA vaccines. So you see, all of them have different mechanisms of action. So the effectivity relies on how their actions are. So, but for now, based on the researches we have seen, so that Pfizer and Moderna top the list of the vaccines that are very effective on these 3 categories I've mentioned before.
Okay. All right, Doctor, I'm not sure if it's from here, but I can hardly hear you. I think you have to speak up a bit.
Wow, I thought I was being just clearly. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me go back to what I said. I said that for Pfizer, the mechanism of Pfizer and Moderna is the same. They have the same mechanism because they are mRNA vaccines.
Okay.
For Sputnik, AstraZeneca, and J&J, they have similar mechanisms, and of course they are recombinant vaccines. So they have the same type of mechanism. But for the J&J has been modified to be a single dose, while AstraZeneca or Oxford vaccine, I like calling it Oxford vaccine. Oxford vaccine has double dose. So that's just a little modification from what the AstraZeneca is. Then for the J&J and Moderna, of course, there are 2 doses as well, 2 shots as well. And people are even advocating for a booster dose that is probably getting up to the top shot.
Okay.
As if they are getting.
All right. Now, there's a Delta variant that's been all over the news. We're not sure what it means, whether it comes from Delta State. What exactly is it?
Well, there was an Alpha variant. So again, it is called Alpha. So the Delta variant is just when you do a little science, you have Alpha, Delta, Gamma, and whatever. So it's just naming. Obviously, the Delta variant was first seen in India, and of course, it's more virulent than the Alpha variant. But even the name COVID itself before the variations start coming. Just giving you a background, there are a lot of mutations. Viruses, as they are replicated, they change form. So when they form, you have more than 2 changes on the age of the virus. You now call it a variant because it varies from the original virus. But it's still the same virus, but there are still different forms of those viruses at that particular point because of mutation and changes that have occurred in the process.
Okay.
So it's either it becomes more virulent or it becomes less virulent. So in those cases, you see virus struggling to survive, so they become more virulent with more mutations and all that. So that is exactly what has happened with what you have. And of course, the NCDC has declared that we have the Delta variant here in Nigeria as well. So it means that it has crept around the whole world. I hear more than 100 countries have Delta variant as of today.
I think at this point it's safe to say we're sick and tired of this virus. Now, the nature of viruses to continue to find new ways to survive. I've always wondered about that. Do they have some kind of intelligence? Because I've spoken to you and a couple of medical practitioners who claim, it changes form, it goes, it comes back, it does this. I don't know. I don't want us to have a medical lecture this morning, but why are viruses that intelligent? Why? What's their problem?
Well, naturally, every living thing has that instinct of trying to survive, struggle to survive. So viruses are living. Even when you say majority of them are RNA, they don't have a DNA of their own, so they will need a host of the host DNA to survive and repeat and all. So that instinct is always there to change forms for them to survive further in the population or among where they are living, they are food and all that. So it's an instinct, a natural instinct for all living things to struggle to survive. Just like you set a man today and say you want to kill the person will start begging you. If I don't want to die, don't kill me. That's the same way the viruses who want to struggle and survive regularly. So changing, when they are replicating, there are some changing. It's normal with viruses.
Okay.
Very normal with viruses. So if you want to go into the details of why it's going to change, I think the whole of the day.
No, please. It's normal with viruses is more than enough explanation. All right, it's the Morning Crossfire 92.3 Nigeria Info Conversations with Dr. Joseph Urang. He's a River State Immunization Officer. After the break, Dr. Urang will tell us how the vaccination drive with the Oxford AstraZeneca we had earlier went and what's the hope for the future. Don't go anywhere.
The Morning Crossfire.
This is the Morning Crossfire on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
Welcome back. It still is the Morning Crossfire 92.3 Nigeria Info. My name is Sam Oracle Chinedu. NAFDAC has approved 2 more COVID-19 vaccines for use in Nigeria. They are Moderna and Sputnik vaccines. I'm having conversations with Dr. Joseph Urang, the River State's immunization officer. I don't know why that didn't roll out well. And he's on the phone. You're welcome once again, Dr. Urang.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
So we have a couple of questions on WhatsApp. Of course, the phone lines are open. You can call and ask Dr. Urang any question. But my question for you is whether or not you're still taking COVID precautions. 0817-923-0002. 0817-923-0003. 0817-923-0007. WhatsApp and Telegram, of course. 080-903-06416. Now, the first question we have here, Dr. Urang, is, isn't this Moderna vaccine the experimental RNA vaccine that took only a few months to be developed and approved? This question is on WhatsApp.
Well, do I need to answer that?
Yes, please. It's for you.
Okay. Thank you very much. For somebody to say the Moderna vaccine took some few months to produce means that the person has refused to evolve with time. Now, what happened was that when China released genetic sequencing of the virus, there's what we call genetic sequencing. The way the sequence of proteins are arranged on the virus and all that. The young American girl looked at it and developed something similar to it. We call it molecular medicine. Medicine has gone beyond the physical. We're looking at, the world is looking at molecular level of medicine. How do we solve problems at the molecular level, not just at the physical and structural level? So the young person developed, within that genetic sequencing, developed an mRNA vaccine that mimics the exact way the virus acts. What does the virus do? The virus gets into the DNA, binds with the DNA. Remember, it's an RNA virus. It binds with the DNA. The host DNA will now start producing the viral protein. The virus will replicate from there and invade more cells, and that's how it now continues. So this vaccine will go into the DNA, bind with the DNA, produce proteins that are similar, that can cause immune response, that cannot cause the disease. That shows you the level of evolved in medicine has evolved to. This is probably one of the biggest breakthroughs the world of medicine has seen. I am sure in a few months and a few years' time, malaria will have their vaccine because we are addressing it at the molecular level.
It's taking too long, Dr. Urang. Even I am sick and tired of waiting for a malaria vaccine. But the thing is, are you saying at this point that moving forward, it wouldn't take too long to produce whatever kind of vaccine?
That's what I'm telling you, because the world has moved on and medicine has evolved to this molecular level medicine.
All right.
So the traditional way of making vaccine for 15 years with this knowledge is gone.
Wonderful. We have Ida calling from Nkoro. He's on the phone. Good morning, Ida.
Yeah, Sam, good morning. Thank you very much. Doctor, good morning. I want to ask the doctor a question. Like, a friend of mine take this vaccine, this COVID-19 vaccine. If it see a lot of sickness, they treated that sickness with sum of 50,000 naira. So I was scared. Whether I go to the same thing will happen to me.
Ida, what kind of sickness specifically? What was wrong with your friend?
Malaria, typhoid, all kind of sickness. But he was very healthy. After I took this vaccine, everything just blew up. He needed treating now, he got himself. So me going to take it now, I'm scared. So I want to ask the doctor, but is it for everybody? Right, I go, it will react the same way to me. So I want to ask the doctor to confirm. So I will take my own too.
Okay, Ida, hold on. I feel the doctor might have a question for you. Dr. Urang, do you have anything for him?
Yes, clearly I want to tell him that COVID vaccine will not go and bring out other illnesses. But because there is no absolute vaccine. Absolute vaccine means that a vaccine that will not have any side effects. And that side effect, we call it adverse event delayed immunization. So there is no vaccine that does not have at least one or two adverse events. But what is described, and I'm not sure is associated with the vaccine itself, that it could be because, let's assume somebody has malaria and you go and take the vaccine. The vaccine is not going to stop the malaria from expressing. So that activity that happened at that time, we call it coincidental. So it's an adverse event following immunization, but it's coincidental, not actually related to the vaccine. Let's give another example. In countries, there are shutting down the vaccination process on ground of having clots and so on and so forth. It was found out that those clotting processes were coincidental. With or without the vaccine, these people will come down with clots. So it's actually not related to the vaccine. There might be a coincidental thing based on the environment where the person is and the rest of others. So I think it's a coincidental thing, and we need to look at it as that, not actually everything going wrong with the vaccine. Nothing is wrong with the vaccine.
Well, that's the kind of coincidence that fuels conspiracy theories. We have David from Yenagoa. Good morning, David.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Sam. My name is David West.
Go ahead.
Sincerely speaking, this conspiracy theory we are talking of is seriously frustrating this vaccine intake. I have taken my first and second jab. The first time I went to take the vaccination, people were calling me to ask me, am I still alive? How am I feeling? I said, there's nothing there. So it is worrisome when we begin to have this kind of thought. Nigerians being what we are, you just go to the place, you get vaccinated easily. We will not do it. You are waiting for that time when it will be fire brigade. You see them running right after helter. In that process, they are doing fraud. Sometimes they tell you to bring 50,000 naira. Instantly, you want to bring the 50,000 naira. Now go and take the vaccine. You say no. And also, too, the positions of our religious leaders is another problem to us. If most reverend Oyedepo will come out to say, no, this vaccine I will not take, or the vaccine cannot, in fact, he does not believe COVID exists, what do you think millions of his followers will do? They take the same line. So we have a lot of work to do. Please and please, I encourage every Nigerian to do well, to follow these simple instructions.
All right, thank you, David. But I wish you did not mention the name of, the religious leader you had in mind. But it's also important that people in positions of influence use that influence properly. Patrick on WhatsApp is asking, is it okay for one to demand for the type of vaccine to take? I mean by one, he means the country. Dr. Urang?
Yes, well, majority of these vaccines are gotten through donors, like COVAX facility and every other organized donor. So they donate to you what is available and what the country can handle. So but it's possible that the country can as well purchase the particular set of vaccines they actually want as well. So that's on that side. But the point I want to actually make clear here, especially from what the other callers before the WhatsApp message, the last caller. Yes, he has done justice to the owner. He hasn't made my job easy. Because we just generally don't even, majority of us don't believe that it is exists.
Yeah.
So that is where the problem is coming from. So we now start asking for information, for evidence. Oh, they say the vaccine has done this. When you put magnet on your hand, the thing will come and all that. You begin to imagine this kind of case. And somebody will be calling, like you said, I was called severally. That, oh, are you still alive? You're taking first and second dose. They say you will die. Now they've extended the day for death to 2 years now. Some of them say when you stay for 2 years, you're going to die. So you're taking the vaccine. But those conspiracy theories, myths, are not helping us. Science is developing. Science is moving forward. We are struggling to even believe that the disease is existing. The world is talking about the different variants. Then we are here even struggling to tell somebody that is COVID. The person is telling you there is no COVID. Then meanwhile, the world is talking about we have Alpha variant, we have Delta variant. Delta variant kills more than the Alpha variant and all that and all that. Can you see the gap we are in now?
Now we have a question on WhatsApp. I think it borders on immunity. It says, good morning. If the vaccine does not prevent contracting the virus and I feel healthy without any underlying illness, why should I bother taking the vaccine? I think that's an important question.
No, yes, it's a very important question. But I didn't say that the vaccine does not prevent illness. The point I made, and it's very clear, that every vaccination has goals. For this vaccination, it has 3 goals. Number 1 goal is to prevent the illness itself. Number 2, to prevent severity in case you had the illness. And number 3 is to prevent mortality. Let's use measles for example. If a child takes the first dose of measles, that cohort of children will have about 85% protection because there will be seroconversion for 85% of them. Now, by the time the child takes the second dose, the protection moves from 85% to about 95 to 98%. So you obviously now see that there is still about 5 to 2% of children that have taken the vaccine that could still come down with measles. But the severity is going to be less in them. And you're almost sure that they are not going to die from the disease.
All right.
So that's similar thing with COVID. So we didn't say doesn't protect. It does protect. But there are percentages in the cohort.
Now, generally, Dr. Urang,
mortality and the severity is 100%.
What role does your immune system play in the scheme of the severity and all of that?
Well, the immune system is a key factor on every disease. Severity of the disease, mortality associated with disease, even the presentation of the disease as itself, the immune system plays a lot of role in it. Now, naturally, it's expected that when you have diseases like this, the body develops immunity as it gets exposed to the disease. And as time goes on, a large number of persons will acquire immunity to it, and the group will now have what we call herd immunity. Now, the herd immunity takes a long time in some cases. Let's use Spanish flu, for example. Spanish flu, before the world could get herd immunity, you know the number of millions that died across the globe. So that's the natural way. And that natural way does not come as easy as we just think these things will happen. So the vaccines were introduced around giving is just to prime the system and make the herd immunity faster. So a large number of persons will have immunity against the disease. And they now say, oh, there is herd immunity. And it's probably because of the vaccination and all that. But if you allow it to run naturally, yes, you're going to get it. Then how many persons will die? You may not be able to tell the number of persons that will die before the herd immunity comes. So immunity is the key factor. Immunity is the key factor.
All right.
In any disease. Yeah.
Another question on WhatsApp. Ask the guests whether the country and River State in particular can store the Moderna and Sputnik vaccines properly and whether they are available. Asking about storage facilities.
Well, fortunately, for the country, and let me answer for River State here. For River State, we have capacity across all levels, across all LGs to store these vaccines, the Sputnik vaccine. The Moderna is minus 20, or there about minus 80 to minus 30 degrees. It's not as high as the Pfizer, which is minus 50 to minus 70. So for that one, we already have cooling structures that we can use in storing for the Moderna. And of course, for rural LGs where there is no electricity, it's going to be a little bit difficult for us to store for longer periods. But it can be stored for up to like a month with our regular 2+10 plus 2 to plus 8. So that bridges that scattered around the whole everything. So we have the capacity at this level to store Moderna for a long period and for a short period at the LGA level. So what if the vaccines come, if Moderna vaccine comes, what we then do is to have plans that we have what we call an effective push system where you're going to push vaccines on requirements so that the vaccines don't stay long at the LGA level. Since we have capacity at the state level to store it as long as the shelf life lasts.
All right.
But for now, the vaccines have not arrived.
Yeah.
We heard that they are going to arrive between July ending and August, so they did not arrive as of September.
But can River State make specific demands as to the brand of vaccine they want, considering their storage capacity?
That's what I'm saying. We can store any of the vaccines, and we can manage any of the vaccines.
Yeah, but for different
any
periods.
vaccine that the nation makes available for us. Of course, like you rightly said, is under emergency use listing. So it's only governments of federation that can purchase or repair for the vaccine. Individuals can actually not get the vaccine because it's under emergency use.
Yeah, but
it's only when emergency use listing is being removed from emergency use listing, then it can now be open to the entire to anybody that is ready to buy.
Yeah, but Dr. Urang, you said we can store the different brands through different time frames. So one for a shorter period and the other for longer.
What I said clearly is that at the state level, we can store Moderna for a longer period.
Yeah.
We have what we call the polio structure. We can get the vaccine in freezers with constant life for a very long time, which is -20 to -30. We can get that. But at the LGA level, especially LGAs without constant power supply, we can only use our solar bridges, which can take us for a short period of time, say 1 month interval. So what we intend doing to bridge this gap is for us to do an effective push system where vaccines are sent to the LGAs, especially those LGAs that cannot stop for a long period of time, on a demand base. Demand in the sense that we need to have them, we need to send the vaccines to them when they repair or when demand has been generated, so that they can exhaust it and we return.
What if we had vaccine apathy like we did with AstraZeneca?
It's the same thing. Whether we are planning with vaccine apathy.
Okay.
That's what we are planning with. So that once there is demand and the local government is using up the vaccine, then obviously it can now be sending it constantly on regular basis to them, so that they don't get bad or whatever happens to the vaccine. So those are the technical parts that we handle, and we have the capacity to do that.
Interesting. Let's look at the vaccination drive from the days of AstraZeneca. I remember you and I spoke and you said we got, I think, 150,000, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And it took quite some time for people to come forward. How did that go? If you were to describe that drive in one word or a sentence, how did it go?
Well, let me just say that's one of the worst campaigns we have been in. The campaign that didn't end. We actually started from March 16, and I can tell you that the last trial of the vaccine was used up on the mid of July. So you can imagine that you're running a particular vaccination campaign for how many months? March, April, May, June, and in July. So see how lengthy that thing is. So it's because of the vaccine hesitancy and apathy among people. People are actually waiting for those who are taking the grow horns and grow tails. That was the ending. There was rush. Even now, as I'm talking to you, a lot of people still call and run around and say, well, even if you have one small vial, we have to get that. The people are tired coming out for the vaccines. But unfortunately, the vaccines are finished, and we haven't gotten any other set of vaccines. In fact, the nation has not gotten any other set of vaccines as well. So, with the second phase that is coming on now, I strongly believe that we won't have that level of apathy again, because people are saying that those who are taking didn't die. The world is started opening up. Football fans are going to football stadiums to go and watch. And of course, only when you get vaccinated, that's when you are allowed to get into those places and all that. So the people have been to see that, all these myths and all these stories that we have been hearing, they are actually not true. So there will be some high level of improvement and acceptance as we go into the second round. That's my projection.
All right. Well, hoping that the projection is in tune with reality. SF Smart from Agri Estate in Port Harcourt says, can an individual choose what vaccine they'd like to take?
Yes, with the options that are going to be available, I think I'm not sure the guideline will say that you give this category of people. We've not seen the guideline yet. In my opinion, I would think that individuals will have options of, okay, I want Moderna, I want Sputnik, or I want AstraZeneca. I just think so, but we've not seen the guideline. So, but only when the guideline comes out, that's when we'll know the exact thing that will be done at that time.
All right. Over to WhatsApp. I've taken the 2 doses. I did not have any side effects. Currently, I truly am not taking COVID precautions, because I can also tell you that, yes, we are supposed to do all that is necessary and believe any eventuality is as a result of the hand of God. Oh,
Well, we want to encourage the person to still take precautions, because if you look at the vaccine that came into the country, it was 3.9 million plus. And what is our population? Our population were expected to be about 200 million persons. So you obviously see that the number of doses that came in
it's negligible.
is not commensurate.
Yeah.
It's very negligible. So it means that we've not had what we call the herd immunity. That population protection has not been gotten. So until we get that population protection, then we can now start moving our precautionary measures, like removing our nose mask, not restricting gatherings and the rest of other things. So for now, those things should continue, because those who are not protected will always carry reinfect people. And of course, like I said, there's a pool, even when you are taking the second dose, possibility that you could still come down with the disease. So those things need to actually be addressed, and we need to continue our precautionary measure until at least 75% of us have taken this time.
All right. The final question on WhatsApp: does one's genotype play a role in immunity? Patrick is asking.
Well, we have not seen any research saying that genotype has a particular role, but I know that, like you said, immunity, the immune status plays a serious role. So if you live healthy, even the COVID itself, your body system might take care of it effectively. So I think immunity plays a stronger role from all the evidences available than the genotype. I've not seen any research saying that genotype has a particular role.
All right. Well, thank you, Dr. Urang. Any final words?
Well, thank you very much. We are waiting for the second phase of the vaccination to come, and we hope that Nigerians will be available to take the second phase and take it more seriously. I'm not sure the nation will want to allow us to run this the most lengthy campaign ever by our brand. So we should take use of the opportunity. Now, people are looking for vaccines everywhere, and unfortunately the vaccines are finished. But by August, by God's grace, we are going to have multiple vaccines that people will have choice to take. So let's use of the opportunity. But now we need to stay safe and continue our precautionary measures, so we'll avoid the Delta variant if it is in 90.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Urang, for your time. Have yourself a wonderful day, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
There you have it. Still take precautionary measures. The question I asked earlier is, are you still taking COVID precautions? Over to Facebook, Emmanuel Vic says, not at all. We even totally forgot there's something called COVID. Yes, a lot of people did. And I know that I still walk through doors of public places where it's boldly written on the entrance, no mask, no entry, but not one person has a mask on, you know. So we're relaxing those precautions. We're forgetting or getting too comfortable. I don't know. We're just not doing what is right. But let's hear from this human. Good morning. Okay, and that human is not in the mood. All right, it's important that you still take those measures. The vaccines officially exhausted for River State and the country, but we are expecting the Sputnik and Moderna as approved by NAFDAC. If and when it comes, if you've not taken the vaccine, it's important that you get a jab. Extremely important for the purpose of safety. We're trying to get those numbers. But for now, the non-pharmaceutical methods, I think it's called, distancing, masking, and definitely washing of hands, with or without COVID, that one is extremely important, because you have to eat eba and do some things with your hands. That's important. Please do not relent. Connect with us at Nigeria Info PH on all platforms, with more at Sparkling Oracle on all platforms. It's the beginning of a beautiful weekend. I will be with you tomorrow morning for the Saturday morning show, but before then, Jude will be with you for Hello Port Hackett. Have yourself a lovely day.
Hello, Port Harcourt. It's the final day of